Okay, I think we're recording. Welcome to the first edition of Music Mondays. So my name is Alan Farner. This is my channel, and I always say Jeg Er Allen, but I think it's like Y-R Allen, if you say it actually as a Norwegian would say it, or something close to that. If you hear creaking in the background, that's my son, Augie. Right, Augie, you there?
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know if you could hear him or not. I could hear him in my headphones. And today for Music Monday, my first Music Monday is going to be longer than normal. So you don't have to watch the whole thing at YouTube. Go to another video or Rumble. I'll have this up on Rumble. I'm not sure anywhere else. We'll see. But go ahead and go. I understand that this is going to be a bit of a rambling, but this is a memory lane for me too, as you'll see by some of the albums that I've chosen. But this one's called 10 Albums I Wouldn't Want to Live Without. 10 Albums I Wouldn't Want to Live Without. Before we get started and I show you the 10 albums, this is not a list of the 10 best albums. There are probably better albums out there even that I think are better. This is not a list of my favorite albums. And hopefully I'll explain a little bit while I'm chatting about these things. Even my favorite albums for the artists who made the top 10. Order doesn't matter. Number one doesn't mean number one. Nothing on this, and I got to ponder this a bit, nothing on this is current. This is old stuff. And I tend to believe that, at least when I was growing up, music that you heard in certain formative years, teenage years, really mean more to you. So either way, and by the way, I can't play any snippets of these albums. I apologize. The reason that I can't play any snippets of these albums is that I don't know which ones will get me. Well, I don't worry about like them copyright noting it, but they might strike and stuff like that. And I've never got a strike on YouTube, and I can't say I really can afford to. So let's talk about the top 10 albums that I wouldn't want to live without. And I'm still getting used to my setup here. So if you see me like moving around and stuff a bit, that's me doing that. So top 10 albums. And I will go into some honorable mentions. I also am going to share a screen. I've got a Mindmeister mind map, and on that map, I've tried to put a song from each of the albums, not just and this is part of the reason it'll get long, not just the top 10, but I have a bunch of honorable mentions. And there's somewhere I'm going to say, man, and they may end up in there. Oh, why did I even do this? Well, recently I was able to buy secondhand a 400 CD Sony CD player, and I'm loving it. I've got to work a little bit on how I'm going to keep track of what's where. I mean, I know what's where right now, but I need to do a better job because sometimes you want to get the cases. So here are the top 10. Order doesn't matter, although they are in the order, the first 10 spots in my CD player. Number one, Van Halen by Van Halen. If you've never heard this, you are missing something. Van Halen by Van Halen, why is it on there? Well, the reality is Eddie Van Halen changed, just like other people like, why am I getting brain cramp? Oh, all along the Watchtower guitar dude there. Brain cramp. You can put it in the comments. Remind me who it was. It'll come to me, hopefully. Jimi Hendrix. There we go. Jimi Hendrix, he changed guitar playing too. And for me, I'm more of a rock and roll person. I'm sure there are people in the past that I'm not giving credit, but this is incredible. Eruption. I mean, is there anybody they couldn't even figure it out how he was doing it. Now, we talked about it's not necessarily my favorite album. Well, I really like Van Halen 2 as much as I like this one. Van Halen 2 as much as this one. And I kind of, their last album with Sammy Hagar was called Balance. And wow, I love that one too. So number one on the list, but not necessarily number one overall, is Van Halen. Number two, The Cars by The Cars. So with Van Halen 1, there's some songs I could live without. Every song, this is what I would call a perfect album. Every song on this album, the CD, every song on the CD is a great song. Cars didn't do a whole bunch for me afterward, but this album I could listen over and over. And what I've chosen when I start sharing the Mindmeister thing, I've chosen what is it called? Brain cramp, moving in stereo. And some of it has to do with when you listen. I heard these on albums first. When you hear them on albums, the way one song goes into another groove is sometimes incredible, and we don't get it as much now, especially listening to MP3s. So number 2 was The Cars by The Cars. And now, since we're basically having albums that have the same title as the band, number 3, Boston. Oh, that's not really focusing very well. There we go. Boston by Boston. And again, nobody, to my knowledge, had done anything with guitars the way guitars were done on this by Tom Schultz. He was an engineer, did incredible stuff, and if you've listened to any classic rock radio and probably pop ones, you've heard More Than a Feeling, but that's not the only great song on here. Again, there's some songs on this that I could probably live without, but I would not want to give this up. And speaking of favorite albums, I would put their second one, Don't Look Back, as good as this one. And so get both of them. You should have both of them. Next one might surprise you. I don't think this band even thinks this is their best album. It may not even be one of their favorites, but Ceremony, let's see if I can get a focus. There we go. Ceremony by The Cult. So this is more current than a lot of them. I think I was working at a record store at that point, back in life when you work 2 or 3 jobs. I worked in a record store when this came out in is it 90s? I don't know. Problem is, even my glasses, 91 is what the back here says. And I don't know if I'd ever heard The Cult before. My younger brother had previous albums, which I enjoy, but I don't enjoy as much as this. Or the one, well, I should say, the one prior to this is just as good as this, Sonic Temple. But my favorite Cult songs on this, it's called Heart of Soul. It just rocks. It just rocks. And again, I want to get through the albums, and then we'll look at the Mindmeister thing, and I'll talk about another album of theirs that I think was underrated. They did some different sounds, and some were less popular. Next one, I bet most of you don't know this artist, but Steve Camp, One on One. You see that? Steve Camp. Now you can tell that's an 80s look. Steve Camp is now a minister down in Florida, and this is a Christian album. I think it's the only officially Christian album on my series, but you can listen to this over and over again. And if you're feeling down about yourself, there are a couple songs on this. First, there's one, He Covers Me. If you're Christian, it talks about that. And my all-time favorite Christian song called He's All You Need. He's All You Need is on this album. So this is great. You could actually see the prompter. Yeah, I don't know how I could just, I don't want, yeah, I guess I could turn it off. I don't need the prompter on right now. Give me a second here. Okay, where's my Elgato prompter thing here? Let's go ahead and do that. That way you don't need to see the reflection here. Okay, I think that's better. Now if I hold it up, yeah, you're seeing the reflection. I've got it, you can see the backyards there. So we'll see. I'll get better at my setup here, and I can close the shades and stuff. Number 5, is that 4? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is number 6. Again, order doesn't matter. Yeah, good. I want to make sure I didn't have too many. News of the World by Queen. Again, you've almost definitely heard a song off this. If you listen to any rock, a couple songs, We Will Rock You and We Are the Champions. But this is, okay, I'll admit, probably a couple songs don't jump out at me, but this is a great album, song after song, like Spread Your Wings, although I prefer the live version, which I may point you to with Mindmeister 2. All Dead is just incredible. Some great songs here. And I mean, they had a lot of albums that I could enjoy. But there you go. News of the World by Queen. You should own that one too. Okay, next. This used to be my favorite band. This is going to be funny. My favorite band, I don't think I even have them in the honorable mention right now. The Cult used to be my favorite band, but growing up, a period of time, and they're still top. Journey and Evolution, and this has to do with when I discovered them. Journey, Evolution, Journey Infinity is just as good. They had a bunch of albums. So Journey Captured was good. Our Departure was good. Captured was good. Escape is where most people probably learned about Journey. And that, by the way, before Infinity, so before Evolution was Infinity, do they have three? Is it three or four? I can't remember. But they had some really cool albums that had more of their, a couple of the founders came from Santana, and I would say had more of that flavor, but just incredible music. You're not going to enjoy it as much, probably, depending on where you picked them up. Then after Escape, I wasn't a fan of Raised on Radio. It was too popish for me. Trial by Fire came out when Steve Perry came, and they're still together. They're worth seeing. I've seen them once after Steve Perry left. Still a great concert. So awesome album that you should own. This one, do you recognize this? This is the one that I don't know if it has a name because it has symbols. And I've heard the symbols, I think, called Zozo. This is usually, for ease sake, called Led Zeppelin 4. And again, if you've heard rock and roll, sooner or later you've heard Stairway to Heaven, which is an incredible song. And speaking of giving you hope, it's got a line that meant a lot to me one time when I really screwed up. Yes, there are two paths that you... Yes, there are two paths you can go by, but in the long run, there's still time to change the road you're on. And until you die, there is. So next, best gift that my brother Eric ever gave me wasn't this. It was a vinyl version of this, which I don't still have, but Foreigner, Double Vision, incredible stuff. And I should probably mention that some of these albums tie to when I would go on the bus for basketball. We'd go places. The bus driver had an 8-track tape player, which, again, depending on how old you are, you don't know what that is. But he had an 8-track tape, and he would play Queen, and he'd play Foreigner and stuff like that. And their first album is as good. This is meaningful to me. Great album. I'd say it's a perfect album. There's no song that I don't like on it. Same thing with their first album, Foreigner. I probably on the bus, it was more likely that the songs he was playing was from the first album, because Cold as Ice is an incredible song from that one. This one, Double Vision, is probably my favorite. You may have heard Blue Morning, not Blue Morning, well, you may have heard Blue Morning, Blue Day, but Hot Blooded. This one, let's see. No, it doesn't have the other one that I may mention later. And finally, this is number 10, and this is hard. So, for instance, I was going to put Billy Joel, 52nd Street, and I decided to go with this. And this is probably one of my earliest listening with stereo headphone experiences, and that's Toto by Toto. And the song that I just found so incredible, I'll say I don't blame the camera. You know, I'm doing stuff with light, stuff makes it hard. But Toto by Toto, the song that, and this is a perfect album. Every song on this is awesome, and I'm not so happy about their Africa and all that kind of days, but Hold the Line, just an amazing song. Okay, so I don't know how long I've been yakking. Hopefully I pressed record. How long I've been yakking, but what do you think? Go ahead, please, in the comments. Oh, and please like and subscribe, of course. What do you think? Would you choose something different? What did I miss that you're like, hey, Alan, it's got to be on there? And again, remember, this is not a top 10. I'm not saying these are the best albums. I'm not even saying they're my top 10 favorite albums. There's some new stuff that I truly enjoy too, but these are albums I just wouldn't want to live without. And it doesn't mean I want to live without the other ones, but these are the albums that I wouldn't want to live without. What albums would you not want to live without? If you're around my age, I will turn 60 later this year. You can tell by my immaculate hairstyle here. So you can get a guesstimate. Means I was born in 64. And you can see when I really started realizing music. It's beyond the Beatles stages and stuff like that, although I can appreciate that thing. It's before, early 80s. There's probably stuff that I really kind of enjoyed. I think Escape was early 80s. But get deep in the 80s, I can appreciate it, but they're not probably going to show up on my list. The Cult with Ceremony is an odd one to pop in there. Oh, favorite band right now, did I say what it was? It's Tesla. So there's certain, if you look at older bands, and it's interesting because Tesla, to me, was a newer band, especially when I first discovered them. But there aren't many older bands where the people can sing like they can. Sammy Hagar's one. If you listen to Sammy, he's still going strong. Yes, I'm sure his voice is not quite as high octave-wise as it used to be, but Keith, that's Keith. You know, Jeff Keith. Either way, lead singer of Tesla is still just amazing. The whole band's amazing. So Tesla is my favorite. They've come out with so much good music, and they're still releasing great albums, as is Sammy Hagar, and I've got a lot to say with that. But now let's look at Mindmeister. I will put a link for it in Rumble, in YouTube, and you can go look at it yourself and poke around. And I've put videos for each one, usually my favorite song-ish. I can't say always, but song that I really like. It also has honorable mentions, which we'll talk about now as I continue to just yak, 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 yak. But let's take a look at that and see. If I press this button here and it works the way that I hope, you should be able to see it. Yes, you can. I will need to zoom in. So let's go ahead and zoom in. I can't press play on any of these because of what I said before, but you can see, and it's not in the same order. Mindmeister, I'm still getting used to it. It's a tremendous tool. And I don't have the guy's name, but I will put him in the description too. Shout out to this guy who does lawyer-relief things. He's a lawyer, talks about current lawyer events, court cases, and stuff like that. And I think he may use this, but he did mind maps with videos and some moving graphics. He must spend time to cause like GIFs, moving GIFs, animated GIFs. And so I saw this. I'm like, that's a great idea to follow things. But you can see we got the cars by the cars. And then if you see songs, maybe I should make this even bigger. Let's make it bigger because I can move around. If you see something like songs, that means that I want to call out some songs too. So in the top 10, I'll talk about other albums I like, or that I really, I mean, I guess you'd say I wouldn't want to live without, but they didn't make the top 10. But I'll also bring up songs. So I told you the Cars, I wasn't a huge fan of the stuff they did. It's not that there was nothing else that I liked, but they did afterwards. And this song, Drive, which is just like so different than their original album, but I love that too. Van Halen, as you can see here, Van Halen by Van Halen. Van Halen 2, I would say, is as good. Balance, I might say, is as good. Feelin', I have been. I could listen to Feelin' by them over and over and over again. It's a little depressing because it's after this album that things went south between Sammy Hagar and them. But incredible album. If you haven't listened, you should listen. However, my favorite, I don't know. So Feelin' might be my favorite song. But if not, my favorite intro of any Van Halen song, and maybe favorite-ish song, is Unchained. The start of that song is just amazing. And I need to actually, I won't make a note of it right now because I don't want to make you watch me do this. Although I can chop this, I guess. Maybe I will. I don't know how much editing I'll do. But, and the dogs may be about to go off. Yes, because my dear wife isn't, so ignore the dogs if they're going off. But of best intros, and is it When the Music's Over, might be my favorite, and that's by The Doors. Favorite intro of any song. Okay, Boston by Boston, we talked about that. In the top 10, Don't Look Back, I wouldn't want to leave out. Ceremony, Sonic Temple was the album before. Incredible. Here, my wife's not going to want to get in the camera, so I'm going to exchange. Give her, do you want to do the rest of this one? There you go. I like fresh sodas from McDonald's. They do something. McDonald's does stuff where their sodas. Let's see if I can get the golden arches in there. Let's see. Oh, look, you can see my giant of a sun. Can you get the M there? I can't tell either way. Okay, where were we? Oh, yes. So, favorite song, I told you off that album. Favorite song by them is Ceremony by the Cult, Sonic Temple. And then they did this album, which was a lot harder rock in my opinion. I mean, I've got a heavy guitar anyway, but called Beyond Good and Evil. And the song that I chose from that's True Believers, and that's a song I could listen to over and over. Over and over and over again. Okay, Steve Camp. He's got a ton of great songs. Lazy Jane. I should have put songs with Lazy Jane on this. Maybe I'll add it after. Maybe I'll be lazy. But One-on-One's amazing. Justice. I don't think there's a better album. I don't know what year it was, but I don't think there was a better album that came out. One-on-One, you could say was a better album, not to me. But when Justice came out, not only does it have some incredible messages, don't tell them Jesus loves them until you're ready to love them too. He had one about AIDS. both albums just amazing. But he's all you need on one favorite all-time Christian song. Okay, let's look at Queen right here. Queen, News of the World we talked about. Then a couple songs. All I Want. Actually, I like a lot of the songs that were on the Highlander soundtrack. All I Want. I want it all. I mean, it just. I won't sing it to you. That's not kind to you. But be forewarned, I probably will in the future. So if you don't want to hear me sing, then you probably shouldn't watch my Music Monday videos. Excuse me while I burp here. Wait, I don't know which one. I got to turn off this one. Okay, I'm back. And then Spread Your Wings off their first live album, Queen, what is it called? Killers, maybe? Killers Live Killers. I mean, it's great. The studio version on News of the World is awesome, but there's some songs, I'll tell you about a couple by Styx that off their live album, Cottoniac, it's called, that they're just better live. It is. And if you think about it, like Freebird by Leonard Skinner is better live than the studio one. It doesn't mean the studio one's not good, but it's that way. Toto by Toto, Hold the Lines of Song Alike. Led Zeppelin, of course, Led Zeppelin 4, but also their Led Zeppelin by Led Zeppelin and Led Zeppelin 2. Incredible. Physical Graffiti, I probably should have on here. That's got some awesome songs, 2 albums. And Through the Outdoor. I mean, I'm not saying, like I like House of Holies. What was the one? The third Led Zeppelin 3 didn't do a whole bunch for me, but I just amazing music. And you know what? Robert Plant can't sing like he used to, but he's probably still worth listening to. Journey, Evolution, but then you see I couldn't help myself. Infinity, incredible songs. That's got one of the ones where, well, I couldn't find a video with both together. And I tried, by the way, all these videos, I believe in respecting copyrights. We don't need to listen to music. We don't need to rip CDs or videos and throw them up there and have people watch them. And we get all cranky if people won't let us do that. And we don't need to. So I think I was pretty good if I didn't do it, but I tried. I tried to have like official blessed versions. And just because they're on YouTube doesn't mean they're blessed. So you can just go ahead, make a commentary on this. The reality is I think record companies have been, still are, probably relatively evil. Like if you go ahead and try to do an internet radio station, see how much it'll cost you to license it in the U.S. and what they will do to limit your ability to mix like you would at a radio station. So I'm not a fan of record companies, although I do. I mean, music has made my life so wonderful that I don't play it. I hope to. We'll see. Maybe in a future video, I'll start playing the piano. That's what I want to do, or keyboard. But as I ramble on, I warned you. But you know what? If you can't put a video up of your favorite thing, so what? Your life's not going to end. You're still probably going to have dinner tonight. It won't be, or if you don't, it won't be because you weren't able to take somebody else's work and put it up on YouTube. So Infinity has a great brain cramp on where it is, but one of the most awesome segues between 2 songs that need to go together, just like We Will Rock You and We Are the Champions on the Queen News of the World. Departure, listen, it's got a whole bunch. I don't like the biggest hit off it, though. And again, I'm going to have cramp. Any way you want it. That's I could put up with it, but I really don't like it. But God, sounds like, take a listen to that video or watch that video I've got there. People and Places. Wow, just incredible. Captured, great stuff live. I think I chose Walks Like a Lady because that was good on Departure too. But it's incredible. Is it the old Hammond organ? Is that what they call it? Incredible. It's just perfect. Probably have the crowd turned up a little too much. Escape. And now I didn't choose Open Arms or some song off that recently was chosen, basically certified as the most listened to song. Is that Open Arms? Oh, no, Don't Stop Believing, probably. But Mother Father off that is just amazing. That whole album is amazing. So by the way, I would say Journey, Infinity, Journey, Evolution, perfect albums again. Every song great. Departure close to it. escaped close to it, captured. It's a great album. Again, the crowds turned up a little loud for my like. Here's Double Vision made the list, their first album. And then the song I just wanted to do is one that, see, it doesn't make sense to do it as much because it's on Double Vision. Something else I didn't do is I generally won't highlight a song that's already on the album that I'm mentioning, but I did this time. I'm inconsistent. But You're All I Am, beautiful song. I love that. Okay, now we're getting into the honorable mentions. 52nd Street by Billy Joel. Oh, I forgot to tell you the story about Van Halen. I had never heard of Van Halen. I was working a summer job at Kentucky Fried Chicken. I'd get home, and as soon as I walked through the front door, all the way in the living room, quite a good distance, they could smell me because I worked in Kentucky Fried Chicken. But there was a guy who worked there with me who on his front hood had the VH symbol. I had no idea. Who is this? And it was Van Halen. And that's the kind of excitement there was when Van Halen came out. So he had a nice hot rod and had Van Halen, the symbol on the front. 52nd Street, a bit of a math nerd. Haven't done it as much as I should have, especially at 60. And I think in junior high one year I won the math competition in the state of New Hampshire, and I could choose stuff. And I chose 52nd Street, the album. I also got maybe from another same set of contests, but back then they'd have books of formulas and things like calculators weren't as prolific. I did have calculators in high school, but things that would be like tables of values if you had to figure out like a logarithm or something. I don't know if logs were in there. And I still have that book downstairs, actually, with a Mascoma Valley Regional High School jacket on it. But either way, so I chose 52nd Street. The Stranger, I might actually like a bit more even. Both incredible albums. This I realized after I put it together, and Augie actually said, "Hey, you're going to have AC/DC on there, right?" And I may have to bump an album. Back in Black by AC/DC again was a night and day album. I would say I didn't put it on here. Highway to Hell is as good as Back in Black. Has Bon Scott singing. It should have broken them too. I also really enjoy For Those About to Rock almost as much, if not as much, as Back in Black. But AC/DC, there's a sound, and they're consistent. They're still releasing. And yes, Brian Johnson after his ear thing, I think now he's back. He's not sounding quite as good. Although I'm interested. Slash is about to come out an album where he did work with Brian Johnson and a bunch of other people. And I'm looking forward to hearing Brian Johnson. There's a video you can go watch, which I'll forget to put on here. But there's a video you can watch where they're releasing a bunch of blues songs remakes, I think. But incredible. They're still going strong, obviously with losses. Not Angus, but his brother passing away a while ago and stuff like that. I'll buy whatever they release. I want to encourage them to keep doing it. And something else I should note. I've mentioned I'm a Christian. There's a lot of music. Don't act like the songs do, and you have to make a decision for yourself whether listening to the music or promoting it like I am is beyond what you should, given some of the things, sex and drugs and rock and roll that people in rock sing about. But that's up to you. Okay. I think the first time I heard not Damn the Torpedoes, Refugee, off the album Damn the Torpedoes by Tom Petty, was this, I think they actually were Christians, and they could get into high schools by playing a bunch of music free. I don't know if they were free or whatever. And then at the end, they would give a little gospel presentation. And I imagine nowadays in most places that they would freak out. But incredible album. And Tom Petty came out with so much music. That's why songs, Free Fallin' might be, Refugee is hard for me, but to say I wouldn't choose as my number one, but Free Fallin', he has all kinds of great stuff and some great videos. Augie also brought up Leonard Skinner, and I put Second Helping by Leonard Skinner just to choose something. Again, these are all honorable mentions, but that's the one that Sweet Home Alabama was off. And another song that I have a list of what I call my morning ritual songs, which I don't listen to every morning anymore, but Ready to Fly, it's a good attitude. Sad, because his mom's going to die, but really good attitude because she's ready to fly. And I hope that when our time is up, that we are all ready to fly and have our crap together spiritually. Another one, be very easy to say, needs to be in there just because of how big an impact it had to my musical impact musically to me. I'm not saying it affected like some of the other albums, my whole listening thing, but the album was really big when I first listened to it. But High Infidelity by REO Speedwagon. My REO Speedwagon story that I share too much maybe is back when I worked on the Atlanta Olympics. I worked on ticketing. I was the system manager, what do we call it, for the ticketing system. And I had a CD player, and I'd plug in the speakers, and I'd have pretty loud music. My apologies, both in Atlanta and in Sydney, because they needed me so much. I was able to be a bit of a jerk with how loud my music was, and I regret it now. So my apologies to those who had to put up with it, because I did play it sometimes really loud. But so I had the greatest hits of REO Speedwagon, and I did put the little portable CD player on my desk overnight, and somebody stole my CD player, and they insulted me on top of it by pulling out the REO Speedwagon greatest hits and leaving it. I guess it wasn't good enough for them. A couple songs. Time for Me to Fly is probably my favorite song from them. Is that off You Can Tune a Piano, but You Can't Tune a Fish? Can't remember for certain. You'll see a fish, I assume a tuna fish with a tuner coming out of his mouth on that one. Also, Riding the Storm Out Live, and the double CD, double album that's on is an amazing one. So, okay, let's talk about Styx. You see a lot here. Some albums. Grand Illusion, Come Sail Away. I still often ask, I can't say her name, Alexa. I often ask Alexa, yeah, I probably just set her off. No, she's not looking at me. To play Come Sail Away. Just amazing. Renegade. Again, see, I'm looking over here too much. I apologize. I'll be looking at you more. But Renegade, another awesome album. Snowblind. So now we're in songs. Okay, Renegade. Well, okay. The album that's Renegade's the song. Not sure what the album is. Is it Pieces of Eight? Maybe. So songs, Renegade, Snowblind, Show Me the Way. Really like that one. It's one of their older ones. And then the two live ones that I told you about. Okay, I got some dogs who want to go out. Let's see if they immediately bark. 3 dogs. Let me close it. Neighbors, both sides have dogs. And they get the little bark fest. Sweet Madam Blue and Crystal Ball. Cognac, I think is the name of their original Love Double. So Chewy's behind me. You see, they're barking. Chewy wants to go out and bark too. Just amazing live. If I'm going to talk about Styx, you see my wife, she's going to try to hide. Wave to everybody. If I'm going to mention Styx, I'm going to mention Supertramp. Breakfast in America, again, amazing. I have fond memories one time of bumming a ride home after some kind of practice or meeting or whatever at high school, and then playing Take the Long Way Home by Supertramp. Was out, and it was in I think a VW Rabbit, and the radio had like a glow, and I still remember that now. A friend of mine also played basketball, played one time Bloody Well Right. Crime of the Century, I think is the name of the album. So another great one. Genesis, they don't do a whole bunch for me, but Misunderstanding, so I put Duke on here instead of just the song. And Duke's a great album, but Misunderstanding, and I didn't own Duke the album until I got another record player a year or so ago, a couple of years ago, and I started getting stuff off Discogs, and then I got Duke for Misunderstanding. But Misunderstanding is just an amazing song. Eagles, Hotel California is a perfect album, no question. Eagles have a tremendous number of songs and have probably one of my favorite live albums ever, which is the Eagles Live, the first one. You can see a little bit in this, what it looks like. I probably should have zoomed in more. Please don't hold it against me. Just getting this stuff down in order to make things bigger and smaller and all that stuff. Got to look here and I got to look here, and you know how it is. But just, again, incredible double live album. Somebody depressed me by saying, "Oh, it's just totally produced and stuff." But even songs like, I think it was not an Eagles song, it was Joe Walsh who had originally done it, but it's on there. Joe Walsh was, at least for some of the songs playing with them, "Life's Been Good." Live version of that's even better than the original one too. And finally, not at the end because it didn't hit me. And again, this, you might see afterwards that this list will expand. I might add to it as I think of, especially some modern stuff, or maybe I'll make 10 albums I wouldn't want to live without that came out after 2000 or something like that. And so I may expand, this may not. But Kansas was my favorite. Journey and Kansas were vying for it. Kansas was my favorite. Carry On My Wayward Son. Although I'm less excited about it now because it's played so much. Amazing song. Whole album's great. Yeah, and they were what I would call orchestral rock, and I don't mean like they have orchestra instruments, although they have interesting ones like a violin, but their songs have movements and stuff. And I'm not saying every song they've done has been that way. And as they moved on in years, things became less orchestral, I guess. They are still touring. I don't know if I'd want to see them, but Leftoverture, it's a perfect album in its own right. I can't say everything is as catchy. Point of No Return came out after that. You've almost definitely, if you've listened to rock or popish rock radio, heard Dust in the Wind. I chose Portrait He Knew. Kerry Livgren is a Christian, and it affected some of his music, and so that's a case where I wouldn't necessarily say it's the best song on there. It's my favorite song on there. And then finally, Two for the Show, another tremendous live album, and Icarus, Born on Wings of Steel, much better on this, I think, than the original one. Very good on the original one. There is no bad Kansas album through probably Point of No Return, the album Point of No Return. There's other ones that I like after that, but you can't go wrong getting one of the early ones. Their first album you might not enjoy as much, but is an amazing album in of its own right. So there we go. Let's go back again. Apologize for not zooming in more like I should have. You've seen my 10 albums I wouldn't want to live without. And then you've seen a whole bunch of albums that I gave honorable mentions. Usually it probably should be a couple. But what do you think? Most videos, don't worry, most videos won't be this long. I promise. This is something that I kind of prepared for a while, thought-wise, and to try that was my first use of Mindmeister. Well, I guess I did play with one before I bought it, but just a little bit. That's my first use, and it took me a while. And I do like Mindmeister. I will keep subscribing to it probably for a while. I will use it with other things too. Please do subscribe to my channel. Please like this video. Please share it. I think I'm at 303 or 4 people right now. I don't want to make money off this stuff. I like getting stuff out. I do have a thought for today that I do not frequently enough, but I'll increase it. More people watch it. This channel, I'll be up front. Please do not subscribe to this channel if you like a channel that's just about one thing, because this is Yay R. Allen. Yay, I don't know if I'm saying J.K. Allen. It's about one thing, and it's not about one thing. It's about all kinds of stuff I'm interested in. And so you'll see me cooking. You'll see us I'll have stuff about our gecko lizard. I'll do reviews. I've got all kinds of stuff. I will be doing music. I'm going to try to do something about music once a week. Sorry if I don't meet that, because music's meant so much to me and continues to mean so much to me. Thank you for watching, especially if you got this far. You deserve a gold star. I'd give you one if I could, but I can't. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you again. Bye.
Jeg er Allen.